Anything else I need to do? No. So I am Andrew Fay, Whatcom Conservation District. I'm the IT guy, GIS guy. So my field stuff is obviously going to be technology wise. But this session was asked for last year, in I think the survey, and what kind of field technology or pencils or pens or paper, writing, that kind of stuff, is used out in the field for everyone. Because I guess someone wanted to know, okay, is there a better option for that? For us at Whatcom, we tried going to iPads. About 10 years ago, we bought a ton of iPads, and only 2 people actually use it out in the field, the way we wanted to use it. One of them is actually 3 now. Tristan started using it about a year ago. There are 2, they're all repairing habitat people. They use them for field mapping, and we use Touch GIS. They renamed it. I think it was GIS mapping or something like that before that, but it's Touch GIS now, and it is a mapping software that's built directly for the iPad. It's not. It doesn't connect to any online search. Well, it does through if you want the mapping part of it. Like download a base map kind of stuff, but it doesn't connect to like Esri or anything like that. It will export shape files and KMLs and a few other things nowadays. But because it was made directly for an iPad, it works really well on an iPad. Not like field maps that it's kind of janky sometimes trying to use it. You can draw on it. It's really, really well suited for an iPad. It is also $300 a year, but we get half off as districts. Just give me an email if you do want to try it out. I think there's a test. You can test it out, and you take it out in the field, do all your stuff, and you export a shape files or KMLs. It's really handy if you want to go that route. Most of our people, besides Emily and Tristan, just use paper maps. But Emily, she's a wetlands biologist as well. She takes it out and does all that, exports those KMLs and shape files, brings them into ArcMap and uses them. The only time we really use field maps, Esri's field maps, is when we're doing the USDA crop mapping. And that's really handy because we can track where we've been. And it's already been, all the fields have been mapped, and they just click on it and correct what was there, if it's changed over or not, what it's being irrigated now, and it's all built into field maps. So that's about the only time we use field maps. Just because we don't, for the Touch GIS is like one-off. This is a farm. I'm going to a farm or I'm going to a location. It's great for that. But if you're talking the whole county, you're doing a survey, it's not good for that. Whereas Esri's field maps or Survey 123, those apps on the iPad or cell phone are great for that. So if you ever wonder should I use field maps for a one-off? I would actually say no, unless you're going to be doing a survey type of setup. See what else? I mean, along with the iPads, we have the Defender series of cases from OtterBox. Those have come in handy. With a couple of screens have been broken. And because of that plastic piece of plastic because of that plastic on the case, the screen stayed where it was until I could get it actually replaced. And that was very handy because we used it. It was, oh God, that was 2015, I think it was. We were using it on the fires, and someone put it on their dashboard, and decided to move his truck because it wasn't in the right position, and it just went right out the open window. He paid for it though. It was like $100 to replace the screen, not the iPad, and it worked. I think I still have it somewhere, but we don't. I mean, they're old iPads now. Every once in a while, we still use iPads. I think the wildfire people take it and do photos and stuff with it. We also have bad ELF GPS units. Has anyone heard of those? We've got a few people. Have you guys had good luck with those things?
Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't live in the 2 meter.
Yeah. So they're external GPS. No, it's over there somewhere. It's just a little puck, more or less. There's different versions. We have the lower quality version. We have the survey version, which last time I checked was about $700, and it gets you a better quality GPS. And when we do use it, which has been a long time since we've used it, it's done really well in trees and stuff. It's not as good as one of the Trimble R2s, I think they used to sell. I don't know if they sell it anymore, but because it's external, you can put it on top of your truck. You can put it on a hat, which sounds kind of funny, but when you're in the middle of a forest, you want as much coverage in GPS as possible. And that means if the GPS is right here, all the satellites behind me, it won't pick up. So you don't get as good as quality. So we've got a hat with Velcro on it, and a little case with Velcro, and they can put it on top of their head. I don't know if they've used it in a while, but we do have it. We also have a backpack that has a little bar that comes up, so it will go up there. We haven't used them in a long time because if you get the right iPad, it has GPS in it, and most of the places we go, the iPads are great. If you ever do buy an iPad for field work, make sure it is a data optional. So it will connect to AT&T or Verizon or whatever. You don't have to use those data connections, but that chip in there is what gives it the GPS. If you just go with Wi-Fi, you will not have GPS built in. A lot of people have bought the Wi-Fi version and go, it doesn't have GPS, and had to buy the external GPS unit. So just be aware of that. We've also gotten like chest harnesses that they can do. It like flips open. They can do their stuff. It flips back with the iPads. And their OtterBox makes a utility strap that you can wrap around the iPad and then put your hand in the back of it, and you know just kind of sits there. It goes along with the cases or any iPad. We've gone through a whole bunch of those because they wear out after 3 or 4 years kind of thing of use. And it comes with strap as well, so you can hang it from your side, bring it up, do your stuff, let it go, and it just falls there. And then there's, I think it also comes with a leg strap. So if you're on a motorcycle or ATV or something like that, you strap it to your leg, it Velcros there, and it's all, it's right there with you. I think that's it. Does anyone want to go over? Now I'm going to start calling on people, and just tell us what you guys use in the field, and if you have any questions, like or does anyone have any questions? Like, there you go. Sit.
Yeah, I wonder if you could walk through all of the supporting software or hardware that you need to get the field map set up. I mean, we have an iPad. I know that's every GIS related product, but I heard maybe you need like GIS or Arc Online to be able to run it. Do the CDs,
Yes.
the whole have an account?
Yep. So through me, I'm all the CDs in the state get a license through me and Esri, because we use the USDA licensing structure, which means we pay, I think it's $2,500 or no, it's 2,400 a year for 2,500 credits. And usually, if it was a private company, you get 5 users on that account, and you would have to pay for every user. At the moment, we have 260 something accounts on there, so we get to add as many as we want. But the problem with that is you have 260 people on it, all saving their data on it. With Esri Online, that costs what they call credits. So you buy credits, and those credits are used for different things. We use almost all of ours for storage. And because we do that, every February 1st, I think I've got on my schedule, I will download everyone's, how many credits everyone's using, and then bill your district. And we bill for what's in there. And then it's not terribly expensive unless you're a huge district that is using a ton of data. I think the most one district paid was $700, and they had like 16 people, and they were housing all of their VSP data on there. So parcels, everything. I think ours is like 400. And I've been using it for 10 years now, 11 years. So it just depends. Some districts, they have 5 user accounts and no data, but they can use ArcGIS Pro because you need a user account, a named user account to use Arc Pro. But you can just send me an email. I'll hook you up with one, and then you can go through it. And then I can start talking about field maps. With field maps, you need to create an online map through ArcGIS Online, and then that map, you have to share it out. All the data has to be shared out correctly, which is a issue. It's like, why isn't this showing up on field maps? It's because there's that one little layer that's not shared correctly, or it's not downloadable because someone else owns it, kind of thing. I've heard it's gotten a little bit better through Field Maps Configurer, something like that. Essentially they built an app online to configure field maps and make it easier for people to take their maps that they created, configure it for field maps on an iPad or smartphone or whatever. So they've made that a lot easier to do. I haven't used it yet, so.
It's for field map designer.
Oh, designer, okay, sweet, see, there we go, that's why we have a group of discussion.
Not fit, yeah.
Better, it's not better?
I still do the same thing, and I get a different outcome each time, so.
Okay,
It's good, but it wants.
Yeah. there we go. But you need those steps to get it to field maps, but it does take a lot of forethought to set that data set up to be able to go out in the field and not have a headache. Drop down menus, what can go in there, what can't go in there, and all that kind of stuff. You have to think that through, or you're gonna get out in the field and go, oh, I have to type this whole thing in instead of just having, oh, click this, a radial button or a drop down menu. That makes it a lot easier. Those are about the things that you need for field maps. But the question I always ask people when they say, oh, can I use field maps in the field? What do you want to use field maps for?
Well, I'm assuming that's why you said it's not good for a one-off. So if we had like multi-year project with monitoring, or, you know, I use it for retreatment and keeping record for that kind of stuff.
That would be great.
Compared to like taking it out for a site visit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't use it for a site visit unless you're putting all of your site visits in one data set, which you can. Do you need to? That's up to you. But for our people, they didn't want to do that. They go out with Touch GIS, do their thing, do the thing that they need to, and export that whole thing as KML, and they put it in their records as that KML, and it's Google Earth So you can open that KML just about anywhere, and it's all saved there. And then she imports that KML into ArcGIS Online. So she can take that KML and move it right back into TouchGIS 3 years later, and go out there and see if anything's changed. So for site visits, we use TouchGIS. For larger areas and survey kind of stuff, we use Field Maps or Survey 123, depending on what the use case is.
Can you talk about Survey 123 and what you like about that versus Field Maps?
So imagine.
Same project.
Yeah, okay. Field Maps I would use for, if you're gonna do a lot of polygons and you're doing a lot of data in an area, that kind of thing, I would use Field Maps. But if you're going out and doing an actual kind of survey kind of thing, you use Survey 123. Imagine Survey 123 as SurveyMonkey with geolocation. And for the last 3 or 4 years, you can do polygons and lines, not just points. So if I'm going to go out and do a windshield survey of different fields, or let's say it's flooded, and we're doing a field survey, and I'm just going to drive out, go, and okay, this field over here, I see the blue mark on the map. I'm going to drop a point, fill out a little form, and that's done. But if I'm going out to a site, or I'm going to do a survey throughout the whole county, and I'm putting in a bunch of polygons, and there's more than just one little table I'm filling out or one little form, I would do that through Field Maps. So if it's more complicated, Field Maps, less complicated, Survey 123. If your users are not GIS people, Survey 123, because it's really easy, and it works a lot better. We actually use Survey 123 for a wildlife survey, which is open on our website. You can go in and say, I saw snow geese over here, I saw a cougar over here, I saw a bear over here. Usually it's snow geese or raccoons, but they can easily do that. It's very easy to do. Whereas I wouldn't even try that with something like Field Maps. And Survey 123, you can do it without the app. Field Maps, you can't do without the app. Like Survey 123, it'll just open up the browser. You don't have there's a lot of options that you get through the app that you can't get through just a regular web browser. So you get, depending on what you want to do. If it's a public survey, like our wildlife survey, it's just through the browser. It pops open a browser, you do it, and then they shut it down. It's yeah. But you got to be aware, if someone goes a little nuts on that survey and sends it out on Facebook or Instagram or something, you have a public survey, and you're just going to get inundated with stuff. And then if you don't pay attention to it, it could rack up a ton of credits. And also, while I'm thinking about it, photos and attachments. You can do it on Field Maps. You can also do it in Survey 123. I suggest not doing it on Survey 123 unless you know how many you're going to do. Because as soon as you add attachments, whether they're PDF, Word, or images, especially with cell phones nowadays, your cell phones take 20 megabyte, 50 megabyte, 100 megabyte photos, and you're attaching those. So, and then that becomes an attachment. You've got 500 of those in a survey that can add up the storage costs really quick. So just think about that before you do that. Doesn't mean you can't do it. Just think about it. It's like, what do I actually need these attachments? Like for water quality testing sites, for a few years, we were taking pictures of our water quality testing sites, but it got too big and I shut that off. They're still there for the old ones, but I just shut it off because nobody was using it that way. So I just shut it off. Does that answer your question? Questions?
So how does the storage work? Like if we have photos attached to Survey 123, so we fill out survey, it goes into ArcGIS Online, and then we remove the photos from ArcGIS Online.
Mhm.
That those are
So you can do an export from ArcGIS Online to a file geodatabase. That's the easiest way to do it. Then you have the file geodatabase and then make a copy of that file geodatabase and do that. Last week or the week before, they just released a tool that will take the attachments, photos mostly, out of a file geodatabase, put them in a folder with the ID field for that particular photo, and so you can reference them together. They just released that, and that's been a headache for 10 years for people. So that's a nice little version, a nice little upgrade in 3.3. Yeah. Speaking of 3.3, everyone, when you're doing 3.3, if you're upgrading to 3.3 in Pro, you have to have .NET 8. Just today, I was doing it in my last session. I was upgrading one of our people's surfaces, and it's like, upgrade, download, it downloads. Go to install, type in my username and password. You can't install this, we need .NET 8.3, so I had to go through and install that. Luckily, you don't have to download it again. It's already downloaded. But yeah, so be aware if you are the IT person, that you will have to download all that stuff as well. 8.3, yeah.
Back up a little bit. So for the use of field maps, we also have to have a history account.
Yes, yes. There are ways of making a map public for people to use, but that opens up some issues because it's public. Kind of thing. But like Survey 123 easily can do it. But you also, if it's public, you have to teach the public how to use field maps. That's not easy in itself, so.
So for credits, what's the cost associated?
So we buy, I think the last time we purchased it, we bought 50,000 credits. And I think it's still, unless they bumped it up, it's $100 per 1,000 credits. And the way it works is February 1st, I think it's February 1st, I download everyone's credit usage and then categorize it all and send it back to, and we bill the district on how much, I think it's 12, it was $11 or $12 last time. It depends on how many people we have in the whole thing. The more people, the less per user. So I think it was $11.50 or something per user, but then that is separate than the credits. So however many credits you guys are using, that's what we will bill you for what is being used at that particular time. There's no way of actually tracking who's using what at any time. Esri is not set up that way. It's set up for a company to use or a city to use, and they pay for everything. It's not set up the way we use for what we use.
Related to that, when a user leaves, if they have questions about this.
Yep.
We have users leaving. The stuff that they own, do you have the ability to transfer their stuff to a new user?
Yes.
For us?
Yes.
And then deactivate that?
Yes. I do it all the time.
Okay. At some point, not
Well,
necessarily today, but
just-
we're in transition.
Yeah.
And there's multiple users that need to go away, and there's new coming out.
Yeah, the procedure for that is you get a hold of me, I go through and say, okay, who's leaving, who's,
Yeah.
where you want to store it. But
The person to do it with you, but I have a feeling nobody's thought of this.
I suggest to the people that ask me that is set up a user account. Like for us, it would be, everything's under my account, but for most districts, like info@whatcomcd.org or gis@whatcomcd.org, it costs you $12 a year. Set up that separate shared mailbox that multiple people have access to. And you create that account and you dump all those people's items into that. So that as people leave, you still have access to it, but you can shut down that person's account. And most of the time, they've gotten better about it in the last year or so. It's just, I check everything and I drop it into a folder in that new account or someone else's account.
I don't know if Matt or Ingress is on board with this, I don't.
Okay,
I'm out of the loop on that.
Just
but
let me
I'm the
know.
only one from our office sitting here, so.
okay, yeah, it
Let's
happens
try.
all the time, yeah. And I can disable their account without
Yeah,
deleting it right
I
away,
think
so we
that's
can
what
move it.
needs to happen probably
Okay,
first,
okay,
and if you could check for it.
it happens all the time. It's also probably looking forward, if you know people are gonna be coming and going in your larger district, set up that account before we need to set it up. And then it's like, okay, I'm done with this project, I'm putting in that account, kind of thing. And I can do that transfer for you. We have had issues with people, they own the group. So I have to, who wants to own this group now in your district? You can move it to, you can transfer ownership to that general GIS account as well. Any other questions? I thought this was about field technology and stuff, but we went into Esri. So does anyone use a different type of software than TouchGIS or Esri products out in the field?
We've been using Avenza for,
Venza? Okay,
our
yep,
consultant uses it. We've been just using the free version, but,
I do too.
yeah, I mean, it seems to do enough. You can only have 5 maps on there, I think, at a time or something like that. but-
Last time I checked, it was 3, but that was
3.
years ago.
Yeah, oh, I haven't been the one actually doing it, so.
So what he's talking about is Avenza Maps. It is an application you can put in mobile devices essentially. And what it does is uses geolocated PDFs. And what that means is any ArcMap project that you should be exporting every map that you ever create to a PDF, ArcPro defaults to a geolocated PDF. So you can take that PDF, throw it into Avenza Maps, and you can see your little dot on the map when you're out in that area. So I have people that go out and use it because they don't want to deal with field maps or survey 1, 2, 3. They just want to go out and take some points and then export it as a KML. And when he's talking about the free version, you can have, last time I checked, is 3 apps on there, but it's relatively easy. I just delete the old ones because I have them in my Dropbox for personal use and my OneDrive for work. So, and it's great if you want to go out hiking, you just export a PDF of the area and you have something from GIS with elevations and contours and whatever, you have that out in the field and you can take points and do some lines and stuff. And the free version is really nice. And I just haven't gotten around to buying I do know some people that have the full version, but they're not GIS people that have access to field maps and GIS software, and they love it. And I get annoyed when I download a map of some historic place and it's not geolocated. It's like, come on, people, it's not hard. But yeah, Avenza Maps is a great one. Thank you for that.
We use for non-geolocated, we have the Excel form that we more like water quality monitoring, like put in readings from meters and have like a backup. What kind of tablet do we have? Like a software tablet.
Oh.
And it has, you were talking about the handle thing on the back. It has a really burly built-in windows.
Nice.
Just gotta make sure you're having an umbrella for when it's raining or snowing.
What, you guys go out in the field when it's raining? Oh. Yeah, as I said at the beginning, some of you weren't here, I don't go out. I'm behind my desk, but I do work with all the technology in that area.
We haven't done it, but we were talking about Onyx, like just getting an Onyx Hunt membership, because it has one.
What does that mean, Onyx?
So Onyx it was originally created for hunting. And so you can zoom in and have polygon land ownership, which as like conservation person, if you're like, oh, this property, you can check it out.
That's probably
Yeah. It'll,
Yes.
that will be more updated. If your county has come into the 21st century and has the GIS,
anything.
yeah, most of them have maps out there that you can, that they're applications, Esri applications.
Yeah.
That will open up on your phone and get that kind of data as well.
Yeah, it's also just like incredibly user friendly, so when you're like talking about having something on field maps. And you have to like do it all ahead of time, and like set up the layers or.
Yeah. It's just there.
Drop the point and maybe.
There's tons of them out there. I mean, Gaia,
Yes.
yeah, Gaia, and then Backcountry Navigator, I think is another one that I use when I go hiking.
Captain Boom.
Yeah, there's lots of them out there, and it's just, it's different ways, depending on what you're doing, you choose which app you're gonna use out in the field. It's like, if this one has more features for that use, use that. Anything else that is being even non-technology, you know, I found a great pen out there that works in the rain or whatever like that, anything like that? I feel like it's all about technology.
Oh.
Yeah.
I started using Rocketbook. I don't know if you've heard of these, but they're really handy out in the field. You can take all your notes and then you can take a picture of it and it will automatically upload all your notes to your email. So that way, if you're meeting a bunch of producers and you don't got room in your notebook, you can literally wipe it with towel wet, wipe it clean, and then all your notes are in your email.
So it's sort of like a whiteboard
Yeah,
kind of setup, but in a notebook, and then you just, nice. I like
it
that.
comes with a towel and you just get it wet and erase it. And it's got all your notes. It's got little links on the bottom. And you can set it up to have each link go to a different spot. If you want to go to the drive or your email. You can set up each one and then you just put a little X over whatever logo you want it to go on, whatever link you want. And take a picture and it automatically sends it.
That's kind of nice. I like
It is
that.
really
Yeah.
nice.
Does it OCR it as well? Optical character recognition. So does it turn it into digital text?
Yeah,
Okay.
you just have to put two little pound signs before and after the title and it will automatically generate your whole.
That's
The
awesome.
whole note, so it's like, you know, somebody else to read it, they can't read chicken scratch or whatever. It'll type it all out into a nice. Really handy.
Rocketbook.
They make ones that are kind of handheld like we got, but they also make a full size.
We do have some people logged in.
Does anyone else collect field water quality or state data or water level data?
We collect water quality data for the Puget Sound. Essentially. Well, we don't do it. Everyone, DOE, WSDA, some of the tribes, our county, they all send us water quality data. And then we post it to ArcGIS Online and mapped and all that. And I'm working on using Tableau to do analysis on it. Tableau is like, it's a very, very large and expensive analysis piece of software that is incredibly powerful. But the learning curve is just like huge. But that, beside that, yeah, we do our water quality testing through that. And they send us like Excel sheets. We take those Excel sheets, bring them into Access to do some QA QC, because I know Access really well and I can do that. And then once that QA QC is done, we open it in Pro and take it from Access and push it up to ArcGIS Online. And then it has a whole, if it's within the last 2 weeks, Is it red, green, blue? What size is it? That kind of stuff, depending on if it's over, the high marks, it'll be red kind of thing. Now, it used to be like, oh, if it's over 50, it was high. Now it's over 200, it's even medium. Because we get, I think the largest is like 60,000. Because someone's manure lagoon went into the ditch, kind of thing. What? Oh, no, no, it's perfectly fine. But it allows the farmers, it's public, and it allows the farmers to actually see what's going on with the water quality in our county, in Skagit County. Whatcom uses it a lot more than the other counties, but they still do give it to us so they can map it out. Because the WSDA is those in the other counties besides ours, they're the ones that usually do it, send it to us, and they can see it. And the farmers can go, oh, why is this happening in this spot? And they can go in and talk to the other farmers before Department of Ecology shows up their door. And they, from what I've been told, they like it because it's very transparent. And that they can talk about it. It's like, where's all this coming from? Oh, we had this flood, last week. There's more stuff running off into the creek kind of thing. And they can correlate all those things, which is what I'm using Tableau to actually graph and stuff. Any other good field technology? Any other questions in general? I'll take GIS questions too.
We use going back to the GPS units, we use the Trimble DA2 GPS units, like those with sent your phone and we connect up to field maps and use that for more accurate GPS.
Is that the little square one or is that the
It's a
round one? Okay.
Yeah, and we just have it connected to, we didn't pay for the actual drop. So those we just got some, I don't know if I should be seeing and stuff.
Yep, that works.
Yeah.
What did they charge, like $200 for the pole or something? Yeah. They charge that much for the pole because it is specifically at the right height. Yeah, but you can cut a piece of PVC at the same height.
You also don't need elevation, you just need.
Yes,
We just
yeah.
measure that.
And does that work well in the forest and under canopy and that kind of stuff?
We don't really work.
Yeah.
So why did you buy something like that, Trimble? Because that's
Varying, we have soil moisture sensors and we are pulling the logger out and then burying them so producers can seed.
Are you putting a piece of metal with that?
Sometimes.
We lost ours. And after the fact, we were like, we should have buried a nice big fat washer with it so we could use a metal detector to find
We
it.
did that, but we don't have the metal to get good enough to be.
Oh, well,
Only just find our shoes.
You borrow one from a local person and go out there, because I think some of you may know Karina Cheever. She was like there for like 6 or 7 months. She spent weeks out there trying to find these soil locations. Because we had GPS them, but GPS is not that accurate when you're doing it with an iPad.
Yeah.
And so if you ever do something like that, there have multiple ways of doing it. Take the GPS, even a survey GPS might be 2 or 3 feet off. Depending, yeah, exactly, or worse, yeah. And 2 or 3 feet off might not sound that much, but when you're having to dig these holes, they're.
We had like a tensiometer that we were poking holes in the grid pattern until we found a 6-inch irrigation box.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Did that, yeah,
exactly. Tap, tap, tap. There it is.
yeah.
On the pattern.
So bury something with it, that's my suggestion for that, because it would have saved us hours and hours and hours just burying that thing with a large piece of metal. But if you're only gonna use it for a couple of months, you could also use a tile, one like GPS location device that, or was it the Apple Tag or AirTag? Use something like that. What?
Chipola.
Is it different?
Tupolo?
Chipolo.
Chipolo, I use tile, but you could do that because it will last about 6 months or
I
something.
don't have ability to.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
so does Chipolo.
Yes. I don't know if 2 feet down would, I don't even know if it would work 2 feet down, but it would at least get you, if you were close to it, it should be able to come through the dirt. Water is a whole different idea.
Yeah. With a little rice.
Yeah. I think the tiles are waterproof. I don't know, I've never
I
tested it.
don't trust it.
No, yeah, I'd still put it in a,
Submersible.
yeah, I'd still put it in a nice plastic bag or vacuum packet or something. Yeah. How did we get on that? Yeah. Any other field, like, does anyone have a cool pen or he went for the paper kind of stuff. Hats, jackets, boots, pants.
The only thing I can think of is that we use the InReach GPS, so we work a lot in places with no cell service.
Yeah.
And so having that SOS feature is really nice. So that, and it also allows you to message through the Iridium satellite network. You can send a text message if you're running late, you know, if it's 4 o'clock and you're not gonna be back for 2 hours and you're just stuck down a canyon somewhere. Our field staff can send a message to me so that I don't have to go chase after them looking for them. And that might be that you just got a flat tire on your 4-wheeler, but you've got a 30-minute walk to the top of the ridge to your pickup.
That reminds me of a technology that's kind of just emerging. Has everyone heard of mesh networks? So has everyone heard of Google Wi-Fi? Wi-Fi, or you take one plug it into internet, and then you take another plug over there somewhere and just plug it into power, and it sees that and says, okay, I'm going to push the internet that far, and you put another one on to that and keep going. That's called a mesh network, essentially. They're coming up with devices that are, I think they call it Meshtastic or something like that. It's the Meshtastic is software. The devices are small devices that you can daisy chain these as far as you want. They can go up to, I think, 2 miles. Of course, that's line of sight, perfect day kind of thing. But you can daisy chain these out as far as you want, and you can send text messages back and forth and encrypt them if you really want to. But the way the technology is going, I mean, right now it's just text messaging. But can you imagine if you were out in the field and you're going to be out there for a few weeks and you just spread and you don't have cell reception? You have cell reception in one location of that area. And you put one there and then spread these out over that whole property. You have cell reception everywhere or internet connection everywhere. That's where I think that technology is going to go. And for people that are in rural areas, let's say they live in Republic, not great cell reception everywhere except in town, but they can spread that entire network out with they're little tiny low power. You can run them on a solar battery and a solar panel, and you just spread that mesh network all the way out there. That's where I see that going. And we're thinking about testing it out for research purposes. Like put those on your research devices in the field, and they all talk to each other. So you only need one cell plan instead of 10 different cell plans. But pie in the sky kind of right now because it's just text messaging. Yeah, thank you for that.
My husband uses a device called Spot GPS for his remote country.
Yeah.
So it's similar to what
Yeah,
we're talking
same
about,
idea.
that he can send out an I'm okay, very simple messages, but it can't receive.
Yep.
So it's one way GPS
Yep.
satellite.
Okay. Yeah, the inReach will go to both ways.
Oh.
Yeah, you can send a message back to it, but it's like 10 minutes each direction, so it's
10
slow.
minutes is still better
It's
than
not nothing, yeah. Yeah, and it also works the same way as the Bad Elf. We use it, we
Oh, okay.
Bluetooth it to the iPad.
And how much does that service, the text messaging cost?
So the basic one I think is, gosh, what is it now? On the business plan we're on, it's 35 a month, which is a lot, but there is a lower plan that's per message.
Well,
Um,
if you're out where there's no cell reception, that $35 is like, that's not too bad if your employee goes out and gets stuck, breaks a
Yeah.
leg. It's like, how do you know they're out there?
Yeah, so we have 2 of them, and it's $70 a month. And
Yeah.
it's a lot, but it's worth it for when we're.
Yeah. it's
Yeah,
like
if you
this-
use it.
The Spot has a two-way option, just depends on which device you get. There's different types of messengers.
Anything else?
It's not field related, but is anybody using ChatGPT or like any other work? How are you using it? I'm just like always interested. How people are using it.
What is it?
ChatGPT. So large language model, the colloquial thing is AI. But it's a large language model and hear the language in it. This is not something that's going to take over the world. It's built on language. And the reason I say that is ChatGPT is great for programming. I've had to go through Python programming for different things. Now I go into ChatGPT and say, in Python, write some code that will do this take the Excel file from this, no, let's go back. Using Python, go to this URL, and let's say Noah, I did this a couple months ago, to this link, download that information, it's in JSON, convert it into an Excel file, a CDS, and dump it in this folder. And that took me all of 20 minutes to do. And that's it, different iterations. Oh, it didn't work. Oh, I did the folder wrong or something like that. But then you can take that and say, okay, now combine that CDS file that you just created with the old merged file and move that file, the one that's been merged, move it to another folder, and now you have all that new data into that merged file. And if it's older than 6 months, delete it, the archive file. All that's done through ChatGPT. And it's incredibly easy to do after you get used to how it needs to be prompted. And it saved me so much time. So much time. I've also planned vacations with it. What to do in Italy, what to do in England, or what to do in London. Give me 5 things to do in St. Ives, Cornwall in England. Stuff like that, it's great for. It's not great for some things. I've used it to write memos. Like I write a memo and then put it into ChatGPT and say, make this business-like. And it gives me a whole nice spiel. And then you go through and edit what is wrong with it, because it usually comes out there's small things wrong with it. Or you want to make it to more people or something like that. You make it sound more along the lines of what you would write, but I didn't have to write that whole thing. Hell, a couple weeks ago, I took a story that's been in my head for about 15 years that I was like, oh, this would be a cool story. And I put it into ChatGPT and said, take this subject of a storyline and do this and give me chapters for a book. And it summarized all those chapters. And it just came up and it's like, it's great for getting ideas like that. And then you can expand on it. It's like, oh yeah, let's do this. Let's expand on that. It's great for those types of things. once ChatGPT came out, some of these writing, contests, they would get like 20, 25 a year. As soon as ChatGPT came out, they were getting over 300 that first year. And it's like, nope, you cannot use AI anymore to do it. But I mean, it's a tool that makes it very easy to do stuff like that. It's like, you don't want to write out every single word. Give it something and it'll give you tons of ideas. I use it probably about once or twice a week, depending on what I'm doing. For when I'm coding, it's a lot more than that. I'm in there half a day trying to do different things, but for replicating a procedure of getting data off of NOAA, Department of Ecology, USGS, that kind of stuff, weather data, it's great for that because it's just go here, get that, make it look like this, and then combine it somewhere else. It's great for that stuff. So if you're doing any Python, it's great.
It doesn't do that in ChatGPT. You ask it to give you code that you can copy paste into Python.
Yeah.
Run it, get the error code.
Exactly.
Okay.
You copy the error
Stack
code
Exchange
and
or something, but like much faster.
Yeah.
no, it's
You
much
don't have
yeah.
to do stuff in Stack.
Okay.
I mean, you give it the exact same prompt and 2 or 3 different times, each one of them is going to be different. It's just the little coding differences here and there. And you take that error, you paste in there and it says, oh, I see this needs to be done, or we need to do this, or we need to enable this plugin or whatever it is, extension. We need to enable this in the code. Here it is. And I just copy, paste until it's perfect. And then because I've got an account and it's free, I can come back later on. It's like, oh, I need to add this. And it's still got all that. And because I just copy and paste it, it's there. And for images, I would do Midjourney. Midjourney is really nice. So if you want an image of a person taking soil, water samples along a creek, you pop it in there and it'll create an image for you. And then it gives you like 4 options. Which one's best? This one, let's do variations of that one. And it will do it for you. Or if you want a drawing, it's great for that kind of stuff. But, you know, I like technology, so it's fun to dabble in that stuff. I have friends that it's like as soon as a new AI comes out, they're playing with it. Oh, what are you using it for? Oh, I'm just playing. So, what would you use it for?
Writing grant reports.
No, you can't. You can't. Yeah.
And then like edit it to fit.
Yeah, you take your like a paragraph or a report and just copy and paste it in there, and it'll say, can you make this? Give me it back like I'm a 5th grader, and it will rewrite it as a 5th grader. Not perfectly, obviously, but it'll do a pretty good job, and it's getting better. You might be getting emails that sound really interesting, and it might be from someone in your district that's not actually in your district, because there are AI, people are using AIs to do scams now. And you just give it a, like, if I took ChatGPT and said, go to this website, my district's website, and fashion an email that goes to Brandy Reed, my director, my district manager, and it's about, you know, whatever you want it to be, and it will go through that page and write something that sounds really, really good, and kick out something. And then if you build that into some Python script, you can send out millions of those. So, and that's what they're doing. And we had someone fall for that yesterday, but they only gave them a phone number. They asked for a phone number. I don't know why someone would need a phone number nowadays, but they fell for, what was it? I need your help with a project. Please give me your phone number. Like, why would my boss ask you for your phone number when she's already got it? And she fell for it and she gave it. Luckily, it was a phone number and not an attachment or a website. I would have probably been shutting down our server. From here, I would shut it down because I don't want it to corrupt the rest of our system. Or if she was at home, I'd say, don't bring me the computer, I'm gonna wipe it. Stuff like that. Yeah. Good and bad uses for AI. Okay, anything else? No, I've heard no hats, no pants, no sunglasses, come on, people.
I like these UV sun shirts. Those are really nice. Like maybe not the-
I've heard good things about that. I don't really need it though.
One thing we figured out we have to take today, so I live in Soap Lake and we're working on Rocky Fork Creek, pretty close to where I'm at. But it's a little ways from our office, which is in Moses Lake. And so if I've got to meet like a sprayer guy out there, something in the morning, I'm usually taking my personal rig. And so we figured out it's really good to have some type, you guys probably do this already, but some type of identifier on your vehicle. Just to make sure you have a magnet or something like that. 'Cause I think that's cool.
Oh, yes, I've had knives pulled on me when I was, actually, back when I was going out in the field. It wasn't pulled on me, but he came up to me with the tuck behind his arm,
Yeah.
and it's like, and as soon as I told him what he was, it's like, oh, okay, and he put it away. It's like, yeah, it's a good idea. I wouldn't suggest magnets, though, I would suggest, window clean.
Oh, okay.
Because you can print those up, you can print them or get them and they clean the windows because the magnets blow off. We found our own magnets on the side of the road. So yeah, it's a bet because you forget they're there. We've also, if you're parking and you know the farmer, I was taught this like 25 years ago. If you're parking and you know the farmer, you pull into the field and you park off to the side, that farmer might need to move your vehicle. So we would leave the keys on the seat with a card in it. And the guy told me is NRCS, so everybody in the county knew him. And they just go in there and move the car if they need to bring in their tractor or something. Whether that's, a good idea or not, that was back in the 90s, the early 2000s. Probably, but you could leave your phone number there. Now you put your card in the window, they can call you up and you can come and move the car. Stuff like that is just like very simple and it works. Anything else? You guys just want to go take a break for 20 minutes before the next session.
One other GIS question, but we've been using ArcMap, but that's like a very old version. I think it's being discontinued like 2026. I think.
Yep. It's not being discontinued, but it's never going to have enough version. So it's never going to have a new update, it's fixing security flaws or anything like that. So ArcMap was created it wasn't publicly available, it was created in the 90s when a computer had one processor. So ArcMap is built for one processor. Our phones have multiple processors. So that's why ArcMap, unless you have a really beefy computer, runs pretty slow because instead of going for x64 computers, instead of using one processor, it uses multiple processors to do the processing more quickly. ArcMap is built on one. That's why they had to rebuild the whole thing into Pro. And yes, it's gonna be discontinued. You'll still be able to use it, but it's like things will start breaking on it, kind of thing. Services and that kind of stuff that you're getting online. So as soon as you can, learn Pro.
Yeah.
I left it off as much as I could, but now that I'm in Arc Pro, I will never go back. There are some things I still open ArcMap 4, but it's fewer and fewer things as the tools in Pro catch up. Like there were some things in ArcMap that just ran better geoprocessing wise in map than in Pro. But I'm 99%, 98% in Pro nowadays because it just runs better. You can do more things, and it has multiple layouts. Yay! I yay because ArcView before ArcMap had multiple layouts. They took multiple layouts away from us. Now you can have, and they brought it back in Pro. That was the huge, massive gripe about it because I could have one map and 20 different layouts in ArcView, but the upgrade, I can only have one layout, and that means I need 5 different maps for a farm plan. Now I have one project with 5 different maps that are different bookmarked and all that kind of stuff. So as soon as you can learn your Arc Pro,
All in the same account and everything, just.
yeah, all on the same account. Well, with ArcMap, you could install it on anything, and you didn't need a named user account through Esri. With Pro, just to boot it up, you need a named user account, and that's through Esri Online, and that's you just get a hold of me and I'll get it to you. But if there's also on CTD under the GIS section, there is a course class catalog. It is a set of courses, I think 13 or 14 classes that my Esri puts on. And when I set up your accounts, I also give you a my Esri account. That they haven't brought them together, so I have to do it separately. But my Esri is kind of an online tutorial center for learning ArcGIS for spatial analysts, for all of them. They've got tons of classes in there. And since we have a maintenance contract, anything with a maintenance contract can be free. There's a checkbox up there that says, only give me what's free kind of thing. So you can go in there and have a whole bunch of free courses. And if you find one that costs, you pay for it and all that. There's a week-long course on some things. I don't get a lot of feedback whether the ones I've chosen are great. So please, if you do use them, let me know how they go, because I don't need them anymore. I'm not going to waste 40 hours going through it and whatnot. So if you have some feedback, let me know. But they are courses, a kind of a getting to know ArcGIS Pro or move. I think there's one in there, transitioning from ArcMap to ArcGIS Pro, and some of the similarities where the buttons are, because they're all over. They're totally different setup. But as soon as you get used to Pro, it is really handy. There will always be damn it, this was so easy to find in ArcMap because of ribbons and whatnot.
Assuming
Is it what?
the muscle memory of assuming in ArcMap, I still can't switch my brain over to.
It's backwards.
Oh, you can go into options and switch it back. I do it on my desktop. On this one, I haven't done it. No, I have done it on this one. But a couple of the others, you can go into the properties and say, okay, zoom in is out and zoom. So you can just switch it around. Go into the properties, have some fun. Oh, while I'm on the subject of options, make sure you turn off the create a file geodatabase for every project you save. So freaking annoying that it defaults to this. So we're conservation districts. We usually use, we should be using, this is our file geodatabase that has all our farm plans in it. We're going to put everything in there. Pro is set up for every single project. It will create a new file geodatabase and a toolbox. Go into the options and turn that off and set your default toolbox to something on like your OneDrive or something that's always going to be there. And it'll just put all your default stuff in there. Because if you save like 5 projects, you now have 5 different file geodatabases. It is so very annoying. As you can see, it's a pet peeve of mine. And it's still, every once in a while, we'll create a brand new file database. I go through all of our pros when they first log in, turn that off and set up their own, file databases. Which takes me a while, but I don't have to see all these file geodatabases scattered around my, JS server.
Ask a follow-up question to that. So. I think I talked with you about this before, we made a bunch of templates with an existing database that we're building to, and so if we start a new project using that template. I unchecked the create new.
Yep.
But it's still, when you make a new project, it creates a new one based on that generic default one. You just delete that? Or-
Yeah, it shouldn't be
Because I've got
doing
my
that.
template.
Make sure you have an updated Pro, because I know some versions have been creating that. And it still creates it for me sometimes. But if you make that file geodatabase that you created for all your projects, make it the default database, that may solve that issue. Because it knows it has a default database, it doesn't need to create a new one.
So that's something you can now.
You just right click on the geodatabase in the catalog and right click, make, add to project, and then go up to your databases, make default. And then delete the old, whatever, it has to have a default database. You delete the, or remove the old one, because it probably goes somewhere. And if it does accidentally, or not accidentally, when it creates something like that, a blank geodatabase, we just go on. Speaking of templates, make yourself a template for your district. Have it all set up, and I can go over this tomorrow during the what's new in ArcGIS Online. I can show you some stuff. It's a little late now to fire it up, but if you need a template to start with, let me know and I can send you a project that has a bunch of stuff. But have a few things on there, down in like 4 font, I mean tiny. Put dynamic text, which means every time you save a project, it changes, or dates change, or users change. It's all under dynamic text. So you can say, put the user here. So if I open it, it's going to say my username for Windows. If he opens it, it's going to say Eric for his username. And that's great because it's all, whoever printed that map, it's always going to be there. I also do a file path. That's the 4 font, the tiny little 4 font down the lower left. Yes, it's tiny, but the only time you're going to use it is, where is that located again? Imagine 5 years from now trying to find it. You can look down there and find out what it was labeled, what it was named, and go to it. Same with dates. There's dynamic text for dates and times and all that kind of stuff. You can also use dynamic text for titles and that kind of, if you're printing off a whole bunch of maps built off of grids, you can have the titles go named by the grid number if you want, and it's just, okay, do this map series, print to PDF, and you walk away, and 20 minutes later, you've got 40 different maps all printed out. But yeah, templates are a good thing to get into. Layer files is another really cool idea. Layer files is, I've been using for 15 years or so. It is a file, a tiny little file that says, make this data source look this way and go get it from here. Which means I have a all layers folder that has tons of, I've just labeled them all for my users. Instead of them going into my base data and all that, those layer files, they can go in there and just drag them in. Done. They don't have to go search them out. And when you're talking about something like soils, I think I've got 3 to 5 different soil layer types in there, Because it's not the data, it's just making it look a certain way and going to get that data.
Just pre-formatted symbology.
Exactly, and
Okay.
pre-formatted labeling. That, because they may want to label it different. They may want the soil name, but not the number. Or they want the number and not the name, or they want it back, a different background or something like that.
That's cool.
So, and I've created a folder that they can go into that's in the top layer folders. And there's tons of layer files in there and they don't have to go find it. And as a user that doesn't use GIS very much, they really appreciate that. Because my system is a little convoluted. I know where everything is, but sometimes my base data is a little convoluted because I built it when there wasn't projection on the fly. So I have a state plane and I have a UTM, and depending on the data, it's in different spots. The all layers takes care of that. They don't even have to go in. And I just go in and change the all layers every once in a while. Let's do that for hydrology. Using one file geodatabase to, okay. We're using one file geodatabase to like house your parcel layer. Like I download my parcel layer from the county, but I want to keep it because their parcel layer is always being updated, right? Well, I will download, usually about twice a year, I will download it, put a code at the end of it with the date I downloaded it. And then I have another one in there that's just called parcels. I will delete the parcels, copy the one I just created, paste it back in there, get rid of that date, it now says parcels. So anyone that has a map is still looking to parcels, but I have a backup to that. And then the next time I do it, I put the date in there, I make a copy of it, delete the parcels, and it's always, I have like 20 years worth of parcels in there now. And we do use that 20 years because we go through and say, who bought land in this area? What landowners have changed? What's the names have changed? And we'll do that. It's like, who's changed in the last 5 years? Because we sent out a mailer 5 years ago. We want to know who's changed. Maybe they want prep now, or maybe they want a repairing project or whatever. We do that sometimes. So having that historical data is very handy. There's something I was going to mention. Yes. Any other questions on GIS or anything else?
I've got one.
If you needed a newer version of ArcMap, like whatever the last version was,
9.81.
okay.
Yep.
10, wouldn't it be 10?
Sorry,
No.
10.81, not
Oh,
9.8.
okay.
10.8.
Yeah, for NRCS's integrated erosion tool because they built it on ArcMap. Yeah. What is the best way to get a hold of that? Do I need to contact NRCS or
Just give me an email when you get back. NRCS for the last 5 or 6 years, they've been storing it all on Box because they got tired of saying, "Oh yeah, here's the file, here's the file." So they just put it up on Box, and you can go there and download. Especially for ArcGIS Pro, it doesn't matter anymore. You need a user name, named user account. So they just started putting up the versions in there, and they have all the ArcMap. They have ArcGIS Pro. And I think they have server up there too, but you have to have a totally separate license for that. But they have a whole bunch of stuff up there. Along that same lines, they also have all the NAPE imagery. If you want that, let me know. It's also a Box account. And what?
Yes.
Yeah, well, okay, just let me know in the email. It has all the NAPE with the infrared. And they don't do change analysis or anything like that, but that's already up online through the cloud. But if you want that stuff, it's up there to just download the entire nation, essentially, because it's done by year, and then by state, and then by county, by the little county codes. Like I think ours is 76. You just download it. You have to figure out which one's which. I always have to guess. It's like, oh no, this is the infrared. I need the true color. But it's there, and they have some tutorials and text files that tell you how to download it and what you
Resolution.
say again.
Do you know what the resolution is?
Not very good.
It's 1 meter.
But it's great for larger areas. It depends on your county. My county, we fly our using Eagle View and pictometry. We have really high resolution photos. But if you're out in the east side, you probably don't have that. Puget Sound, yes, we have more money on Puget Sound. The counties fly it. We got together as a county. All the tribes, all the cities, and the county, we all pitch together and buy this pictometry. So we're very lucky on that. But for just basic stuff, NAPE is great. And it's gotten better over the years too. And it has the IR stuff, which you're not going to get through anyone else. There is a Google Maps service as well. If you, I believe I put it up on our Esri org, so you can actually bring in Google satellite imagery. But you got to know it will change. If they get new satellite imagery, or it's not just satellite imagery, they use pictometry. They use it wherever they can get it. They change up that background layer, and it may change. So if you're using it for a farm plan map, the next time you open that farm plan map, that satellite imagery might be different. So just be aware of that. But it is very handy, oh, the NAPE imagery or my imagery is older than Google. I will bring in the Google, check it out. Oh, they have a new barn. I will draw around it and then use my imagery because it's usually better quality for a background, but at least I have that field boundary around that barn. If you want that information, you can just go up to Portal in the catalog in ArcPro and type in Google satellite, and it should come up with it. Because you're on our org, it should come up with it, and you just add it to it. But there's tons of services out there. Your county probably has services that you can drag on, and you just go on ArcGIS Online in the search box up top and type in your county. Well, unless you have a county that there's 7 other counties in the United States, that might be a problem. But you find your counties, like Maine GIS department, and just say, hey, what are their items? And then you can go, oh, I want this, I want that, I want this. And then you can make those layer files for all the rest of your users, and you just drag them in when you want them. It's a good idea not to keep them in a project unless you really need them. Because it takes if you have a ton of them in there, it will take forever for Pro to open. You think it opens slow now, add 10 services to it from different servers around the world. But there's tons of data out there, soils data, wetlands data. People ask me and I just go in there, search, yeah, here you go, kind of thing. So if you do need more information on that, feel free to ask me. Oh, that's what I was going to do. If you want classes on GIS, Bug CTD, Bug Jan. I've been trying, I think she just got too busy in the last few months. Where I can put together I've got it ready. I put in a proposal to do some ArcGIS Pro classes and post them up to YouTube for conservation districts so that everyone can go through and do that. And I know it's needed. We haven't done any GIS classes since before COVID. I was going to do one April of 2020. That didn't happen. But that was going to be on ArcMap, but more people are using Pro nowadays. So I want to do it so you don't actually have to show up at a training. You can step by step. So bug CTD about that when they send out their little surveys. What do you want to learn? Say, I want to learn GIS. I need to have a class on this kind of GIS. I want to, because I base my trainings mostly on farm plans, but the same kind of thing goes for forestry plans. It's all, I mean, it's just all polygons, it's just what attributes you say. So, bye, you got 5 minutes, sorry, I went over.